uh, are going to build a project. Yeah. So I think we are going to start from a starter. So I'm going to have some starter code for purposes of saving time, and then also for purposes of moving directly to the topic you're going to have today. So allow me to share the link so that you can also uh, follow along as we're going through it. Yeah. Yeah, so I hope you're able to view my screen.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And so if you can look at the chat section, I've sent the link of the slide you're going to go through today. Yeah, and so we'll be working with Kotlin, but mostly we'll be touching on XML because this front-end design, so mostly we'll be working on XML. So I think we are good to begin now. Yeah, so as I said, material design components, these are, I think these are components that are used for maybe to create effective and nice designs, front-end designs of applications. So it can be used either in the web, either in Android, iOS. Yeah. So in fact, this code lab has similar versions of different programming languages and maybe platforms. Yeah. So, but today we're going to work on Kotlin. If in case there is someone who can't work with Kotlin, but normally works with Java, so maybe you can also follow along. There is a link for Java. So we'll just replace Kotlin here with Java, and then your Java version will be uh, presented. Yeah. So I think we are going to move on. So at the end of this application, of this first code lab, we are going to build such an application. This is a login page. We are going to use material design components to build, to create this input text and the buttons and maybe the logo. Yeah, so let's move to the page. I'm going to work on this. So in this case, assume that already uh, you have Android Studio installed in your application, but if you don't have, I think you have a link in the introduction part for installing the Android Studio. But I believe it's going to take time, so you just have to follow along as we develop this application. So to get the starter code lab app, um, we are going to download it from here, or either we are going to clone it from GitHub. But I'm going to go with the one we are going to download because maybe some of you might not be having GitHub accounts. It's going to be tough. So maybe we can just move and download from the starter app. But if you're okay with it, you can still clone the app and you're going to get an application containing a fully functional app. So you just have to switch among branches in order to get a fully functional application from CodeLab 1 to CodeLab 4, 104. Yeah. So let's download the starter app. Folder. And just extract it. Let me extract it to my Android Studio project folder, but still you can extract it to any place you feel like. Yeah. So I believe it's good now. So um, after this, you're going to open or launch Android Studio so you can run the starter code. In case of any question, you can raise it. So let me launch Android Studio.
Vincent,
Yes, yes. Yes.
Would you mind enlarging your okay your terminal? Okay, just to see how all the
Okay.
process
Okay.
you are
Yeah.
doing, I would request to enlarge your terminal, yeah, up there, yeah, somewhere up there. Yeah, zoom.
Yes.
So you see this. You see this. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Can somebody help?
Yes.
Is everybody? Okay, I was thinking maybe you use these four dashes to increase the size. After the search icon, there's these lines here.
This one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Try zoom, then zoom again. Yeah. Uh, I think that's cool actually.
That's
Now it's cool.
that's better. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
um,
Continue.
yeah. So I'm using Linux. So I'm going to launch my Android Studio via the terminal. What I'm doing here, I'm just moving to that directory. Okay. And then this code is meant for launching it. Yeah. So this will launch Android Studio. Because I ain't interested in this application, I'll just open the one you are supposed to work on. So, so in this case now, in order to, I don't know how I can increase the font size in this case. Are you able to view it? Is it visible enough?
I
Hello?
think you'll be able to zoom. Check on view. I think you'll have something. Check on view menu.
View?
View but navigation there. See if we can have a way of changing. Is there a way? No.
Still not.
Okay. And huh. Is it clear?
Is this clear enough?
Did you let's go to file. Let's go to file and see if it's in files. So let's go to file and see if we can modify settings so that we modify fonts. Can you see font anywhere?
Mhm.
So no, I'm seeing I okay. Font you see here Ubuntu, see this 15, eh? So we okay, yeah. So we change
Yeah,
that font from 15, remove size 15. Okay, it was size
size
15, so we increased to size 28. Yeah, size.
20. That's better.
Actually it was there at the top, but it's okay. That is, yeah, I think that is better. That's better. Yeah.
This is better now. Okay.
Yeah, that's better actually.
So let me now open the, yeah, let me now launch the application. So I'm going to access it from, in this case, you must know the folder where you're able to download it. Yeah. Application, or you're able to extract your application too. So in my case, I had extracted it to okay. Think someone like to yes, yes.
I'll be able to help you admit people because it will be interrupting actually. So go to the calendar. Where did
I created
no
it
actually no
via
okay,
the
let's
Gmail.
go to the Gmail app itself. Hey shit.
I don't know if I can find it.
If see if it was added to apps and okay, right here. Click on calendar there. Yeah, that calendar. So, or you
Look at it.
anyway if it we don't have an option, just continue.
You open the project. So I said I extracted my clean. So we'll open this folder. Okay, yeah, that's the code log. So Polastic can okay. Yeah. We moved the Java. This is where the code you're going to work on. So maybe you can just yeah. So first let's leave manifest file. So internet permission because and so in order to use internet uh, XML. Look at the Gradle are going to reside. Let's look at the 100 material disaster line in a dependence for some designs also. And then just and then these other stuff, this dependence. And then after that, if you are able to look, you know, but our final output. So in this code lab, we are going to build this particular have a login page. Okay. And then finally, we'll get to a place where some properties, then the filters, and maybe look at our application text as the backend for the of 100 in the lab. It implements up a compact host. So this lot is found in the resource main activity. We are not going to use our main activity the views directly, but in this case, if you look at the file, right, a fragment. So we are going to use most of from have one activity. They are it carefully. Instance state is instantiate or so you can this is a method for Java. Yeah. Begin transaction dot id dot container. Okay. Container meant for containing the login fragment. And then we call it's now instantiating and rendering the login fragment implements a function, an interface that is navigation host. We have navigation host. The function of an interface, I choose to declare signatures. Okay. So us, either in Java or Kotlin, us must be able to override the interface navigation host. It has default 2. Okay, so in this case, this navigate is going to help us to navigate in between fragments. So first fragment definitely is going to be the login fragment. We'll have to navigate to another fragment, navigate to function is going to help us. And if we look at the map, we get to. So it overrides the function of as a method, and then add that's a boolean. Whether we are going to add this fragment to the back stack. Okay, look at the back button in your form previous page. So in this case, this add to back stack, you are going to return to that particular fragment. I believe I'm done with the main activity, so let's also clear on the login fragment. Random with the login file. So you can look at it then inside as a linear layout and also modifying this case. So mm-hmm. The other ones I don't believe I'm going to touch in this code line code lab. So then what will require only are this login fragment. The other files are seeing I won't affect anything. This way I'm going to store the images and maybe the logo, maybe the backgrounds. And then you have the layout. Okay, so set up your developer code. I have downloaded that. So this is just it. Now let's move to our first implement to our login page. Okay, so you are let us in your Android studios, maybe a phone that has been connected in the debug mode. Purposes of running to add this text field. So let's look at it. So now we are going to apply the material. So if you can look at it clearly, you have we are in allowed there is the text input edit attribute. We have determines think maybe I can just reduce. Good. Yeah, so we didn't touch the previous code. If you can look at it at the split, we have added the username and the password, and the other ones remain as it was. So let's look at it in detail, what's entailed here. So the first, we have added a text input layout that is meant for the username, okay? Yeah. So we have added the layout width, it should match parent. Layout height should also wrap content. Layout margin is 4 dp. I believe I understand what is meant by margin, and then hint, choose a name. So in this case, in Android, we don't hard code strings in the XML files, but instead, we add at string resource files, okay? So in this case, you are not hard coded, but if you get the string resource file, which is found in the values, you'll get a hint, okay? Yes, here is it. So it's the username. And then after that, then inside that text input layout, we add now a text input, edit text. So this is the work of the material, design components. It helps us create a more uh, uh, user-friendly design. We look at it when we run the code. Then also we come to also the text input layout for the password. So in this case, almost the same, just that the hint has changed. We have added the hint is password. So next we are going to make some modifications to this. In normal circumstances, I believe you have come across applications. It's always good to set error messages to passwords and maybe usernames if they don't conform to the correct principle. So in this case, we are going to allow also for the error. So I think error enabled will not as true. Okay. And say in this case, if in case an error occurs, it's going to allow some padding. Okay, some padding for displaying the error message. And then also because this is a password, it's good to maybe not to conceal the whatever you are typing in the text input for the password. So in this case, input type gets to password, text password. Okay, yeah. And then maybe you can try and run this application so that you can look at it. So in this case, you have applied two material design components, the text input layout. We have only applied one, that is the input text. So next we're going to work on the buttons. We have it here. So this is the emulator. I believe you can see what our material design has done. Okay, yeah. So when you focus on that particular input text, the password or the hint is raised above, so that still the user can get guided on what is supposed to be added over there. For the case of password, if you try and type, you see that the texts are hidden. They're represented by a dot, so that's the work of the text password. So let's now move to, I think the next is buttons. So input validation is what we have done currently. We added a property that is error enabled to the password, and also input type of password to text password. Good. So that's what we have just observed right now. Okay. So let's move to the next slide. In this case, we're going to work now on adding buttons. So next, we'll add two buttons to our login page. So there is cancel and next. So in case of any issue, maybe you can raise it. Okay. So in order to add a button, we're going to add this button to in between the inside the linear layout, but just below the our text input layout. Okay. So I believe you understand the functions of this layout. Linear layout allows us to design our applications. The views inside there will be configured vertically or either horizontally. Vertically or either horizontally. But for the case of relative layout, it's going to allow us to uh, place our views in either place. Okay, so relative layout can allow us to place our views somewhere here, either here or anywhere else. But linear layout, if it's vertical orientation, it's going to move just as it is here. Okay, so this is just a sample. So in this case, we're going to place a code for the buttons inside a linear layout that was enclosing the username and the password, so that it can stay vertically oriented. And then at the outer part also we are going to add a relative layout. So we are also going to add a relative layout of the outer part. This is going to allow us to place our buttons or configure it to the end, as you can see it. Okay, yeah. So relative layout is going to allow us to do with this. So you must understand when to use some of these layouts. So as I have said, you are going to place this code inside the linear layout, and then you can maybe explain it. So maybe you can explain here. Relative layout, I believe you now understand what is meant by the layout with. This is in relation to the parent layout. So in this case, the parent layout of this relative layout is going to be the linear layout where we are going to anchor it. And then inside there you have a material button. So this is how we're also going to use the material component in designing buttons. And this conforms to the user interface designs by Google. Yeah. So the ID, this is what we're going to use to reference to this button. Remember, we must access this button in the activities and fragments. So in order to access it, we must identify it uniquely with its ID. So this ID attribute is used to identify it. Then we have the layout width. I know you already understand this now. So it's going to help us understand how is this view going to span concerning width, and also how is it going to span concerning height. So wrap content will just the height of this particular button now will just fit into the content of that particular button. Yes. Align parent and align parent right. Okay. So what we mean by this align parent end, it's also the same as align parent right. Okay. If you can look at my cursor, this is the end. Okay. If you can look at my cursor, this is the end, and also this is the right. So in this case, align parent end true is just the same as align parent right. But align parent end, I think it's a new way of doing this. We have just added align parent right for purposes of there are some of the API levels below 25. Yeah. So the older API levels are not going might not be able to work with the parent and attribute. So in this case, you have also added the parent right. Otherwise, they perform the same function. And then if you want to configure it to the left, you use align parent left or align parent start. Yeah. And then to the top and also the bottom, you can understand them by their names, top and bottom. Align parent top, align parent bottom. And then we have this text. So this is the text that is going to be displayed in this particular button. Now you can look at it next. So it's contained in the string resources. So these resources were created in a starter code. Okay. So remember at the initial stage of this, we downloaded a starter code where everything was already configured to save our time. So, but in a normal application, your own application, it's a good practice to place this particular resources, this particular strings in a string resource. To the cancel button, I think it applies almost the same. Just that now, this time round, we are using a different style from the material components. Okay, if you can look at cancel button and next button, they are a bit different. Okay, yeah. So in Google, this is good. In order, there are some of the buttons that are most vital, and there are those that are not necessary. Okay, yeah. So there is a way we configure them. So in this case, for the cancel, it's not that important, and you use a text button style. Yeah. And then you can look at margin and margin right. This is perform the same function still. Okay, so and still means right. Just using right because some of the old APIs, Android level APIs, cannot work with the property margin and. And then if you can look at layout to start of ID next button, and then layout to left of ID next button. Okay. So in this case, start and left are similar. Okay, start and left perform the same function. Just that in this case, start off is a new way of doing this particular that's why we're using left off to left off. And then the string resource, that's what we have opened. So let's now take this code and place it here. So still inside the linear layout. So remember the function of this linear layout vertical, okay? Call orientation or an horizontal orientation. So in this case, you are using a vertical orientation. Vertical orientation, I believe you can see what it does. To allow us this is everything is okay. So let's make, but not a good way of doing the resource for you. Okay, and then it's added the file name strings dot example has been created. Let's revert it. A button from material design. What material component is a bit elevated. Okay, you can see some material and design components. Now, I believe you can look at it. This particular function buttons. I think it's going to take a lot of code because background and then this animation should be going to be a long process. Okay, so I believe designing issue. Now designing the buttons. So let's go to the application and look at this is it. And the username and the password. Currently, our buttons are not working. We have used to move to the login fragment functionalities to our buttons. Click the next button. It will validate the next fragment. Go to the next a function is passed material design components, not the contain quickly works. Those who works so just the page. So valid password. It's taking uh, in Kotlin actually. Yeah. Okay. So this is the argument. The question mark here means that done. So this can be so here we return a billion. So you are checking it exits text you have entered is listener to our next button. So we'll now move to the login fragment. Login fragment views in inflator of type uh, view uh, uh, saved instance state. At first, view now by inflating uh, container and on click listener to that next button. Okay. So I believe you can understand the set on click listener. We are setting an on click listener that is going clicking the button. This is if you like, so if it's not valid, it's going to and then we set an ID we gave to our password. Okay, so in here we give an ID to password and also an ID to this username. So what you are accessing here is the ID of the input or edit text. And then we set an error set a function directly, but in Java you will use setting an error message, and the error message after this uh, valid, then we remove the error message. And then apart from that, also a message to the password field. Once the user enters the password has exceeded a limit of what's happening here is listen whenever password field this on key listener so on keying if the password is valid, then we clear the error. So if the password falls, okay. So this false message. So maybe you can just pick this and then you're going to place it to a, so it should be in between the view while you are instantiating the view and the return view. Good. So we also have to give some, press Alt plus Enter and import it. Warning that we should not so we should get rid of the parentheses, error message, and setting and on-click listen. Next, we are going message. So the function of this the password is if in case in this case now we are going to navigate to in this case in order to navigate this is the code we are going to use to navigate at this fragment. I remember in Android what is very important is it's what maybe contains and interfaces. Maybe the stack or a lot of work uh, to the application. So, but it's usually used for maybe so we normally use the fragments, but the ones that are functioning. So in this case, we are going to fetch the activity first. A fragment cannot be rendered alone, but it will a context. Context. So in this case, it has an activity, and in this case, the activity that was rendered is the main activity. The main activity. So in this case, activity must implement the interface host, which contain the function of get to, and this is the function that is going to help us understandable. So we are going to move the next fragment. So in this case, we are going to place our code to move the next fragment to the set on click listener. There is the next button here. So else get activity as navigation host, and then navigate to product grid fragment. So this is the fragment now where we are going to now apply the main events of our application. So product grid fragment. So up to this far, I think we are done with the looks. Just run our application and check whatever wanted so far concerning. So as it's uh, going to share it. You can look at the link at the chat section. You can load it a starter code, which one currently. Yeah. Now, so this is the application. I believe it's yeah. No, terminate. So I was also saying those Kotlin that from Google, that's getting. You can also maybe Kotlin is more related to Java, so there is nothing much different. Now let's look at this case of entering the username. Let's first check if password. So I believe you can see how the message is displayed. Okay, so that's the work of a material design component. So implementing some of this context without the help of some of this can also take a lot of time. So I believe you can see that. So let's maybe now write a password correctly. Okay, so on keying, in case password has a length of 8 characters, then we error. Okay, so I believe you saw that password, the length of the text, we were able to see a length of 8 characters. The error message was cleared. Okay, yeah, the error message is cleared. So we are taking most of the material design component. But navigate to the new. Should be this one. Yeah. So let's look at. So let's. Okay. See that now that's the function of the bulk stack. So let's get to function. It was taking me a fragment and a boolean. A backstack, and in this case, return back to the login fragment. Good. So two. Question so far? Okay. Access the links shared.
I can't see, and help me reshare the links I shared at the start kindly.
Yes. So now let's move on to the 102. We are expecting to more on the Java is we are going to add a top up bar of products. So if you can look at the top bar you are looking at here, the pink one. And then also we are going to work on the grids. I believe it format. At the end of 104, we are extra. Yes. So now maybe you can you are okay with the part you have come from, but you can access the, the branch when to start. We work on yes. So in this case, I'm not going to download two code lab one. So we are in order to use the material design component, you must have this particular dependency. Left last. In our last code lab. So let's in this case now we're going to start with top and even to use. So in this case, we're going to look at with this particular thing. So navigation refers to visual cues and information architecture discoverable. So the tasks are easy to complete. So maybe like us to maybe look briefly. Are going to touch in this case. Okay. So I believe you have worked on lastly. Our main activity was what was rendering the frames. Okay. And also navigation as you have also explained. Now, what we are going to work on this case is this is the fragment you are navigating after clicking the next button, the login page, code lab. We are going to implement now most of our codes. So I believe already you now understand what is meant by fragment because it's a fragment. It extends the fragment class. And then it overrides a function on create view, which takes in an inflator, a container, and a saved instance state. Okay. Yeah. So in this case, data is what is going to inflate the container by layout. We are going to so the layout for this particular fragment goes by the name product grid fragment. This is it. I think we have it here. Maybe it's in the layout folder. shrink product. Yeah, so I believe we worked on that. This is also okay. So currently it only contains our navigation, but in this case, we want to work on the product card layout for the recycler view. Okay, so we look at it. So this is the recycler view adapter. In order to restructure our cards, okay. So this is the recycler view adapter. First to structure our card. So I believe you did a event that was Sunday last. So and a recycler uh, views either be a linear layout or a grid. If you're able to look at the designs poster for this event, you saw that the cards are structured in a grid. Okay, yeah. It helps us to structure our card. So we have the on-create to inflate our views and maybe to initialize our and then the on-bind view holder. In this case, grids now. Okay, yeah. Grids created by the recycler view must know the count of this display in our so in this case the only grids are we going to create in this good class. Okay, so the class is the product card view holder. Particular class in this case, it's to now this class mostly it just initializes the what do you call the grid. Let's look at it maybe from this code. It will be here. Here. If you can look at this particular single grid, we have the image of the price. Okay. Now, so the function of that particular views. So it's going to initialize these views. We look at it later on when we get to it. So I believe that I don't want to touch on the volley library data. So in this case, data is layout row. We have a file. Okay. So folder called row, we have product.json. So in this case, we have created internal data that could be okay. So our data in this case, we are going to fetch it from this particular file. So it acts as our API in this case. And so the function of volley library usually is to fetch data from an API. And so our starter code lab, this particular data was entered. And now our volley library is going to fetch its data from this particular place. So I won't touch actually on volley library, but this is where the classes for the volley library exist. Okay, so these are the classes, but this actually exceeds the scope of this particular code lab of this particular session, but you can exploit more on your own. Or maybe you can plan a day where you're going to work maybe another libraries used to fetch data from an API. Good. Don't get disturbed by this particular file. Just know that they don't affect anywhere in fetching data. Are going to so maybe now it should be this. But layout that was going to be inflated in the product grid fragment. Okay. Yeah. So remember that after the login fragment. So in this case, you're going to use the string product grid fragment dot. So maybe you can just look by the name app bar layout. I believe you understand app bar layout. Okay. So let's the layout with it defines the way this particular property is going to span in our view in relation to the parent layout. And then the layout unique identifier, and then the yeah. So this one played it's style, the color, the theme, yeah, and this particular style. And then the layout with we fetch it from the string resources. I told you code. No, it's not a good way by hand to the XML file and take it to our layout. So take it to our layout, playing the product grid fragment. So we are going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this and maybe add for the app bar. If this is an error, so you're supposed to get rid of the linear layout. Yes. So if you can look at it and see it, okay? Yes. So shrine. So let me split it. Okay. The app bar attribute. Then the app name. Furthered by this particular application. Now, this to maybe to explain is this particular context where this layout is going responsible for this particular layout. It's defined. Okay. So if you can look at it, attached it to the product grid as a holder. Next, we have seen in most applications they usually have an icon like WhatsApp. It has its own icon at its navigation icon to our code. So we'll pick this code. We are going to add it here to the toolbar itself. Okay. Yes. The icon is fetched from the drawable folder. So just okay. And you're going to you want to use you place it. But maybe files or drawable folder. It might require some kind of work. Yes. So now maybe to use to this particular part. Okay. Yeah. Must be transformed good sir. Now then after so I believe you understand how this meant what is meant by them. So in this stage we are going to look at how to add it. So first of all our activity uh, the code you are going to fragment. In this case, is app compat activity. So this app compat activity contains most of functions. Functions. And then we set now the support action bar is view dot app. View is just inflated. The view is just inflated, and then the up bar in this case is the up bar. Okay. Yeah. So this is our toolbar. Maybe defining this is a bit different. In Kotlin, you can yes. So we'll just take. So for us to add maybe some class. And so first of all, we must define a view separately. We don't just have to return it this way. So val return. Good. So then here particular classes are done here as so in this up bar. And then here we are now setting the support action. We must first have an this we must icons, and what we have just done there is defining or telling the activity what app bar is it going to use. And so in this case, you have offered the app bar we just created. Now, next menus. So, as usual, you must create a menu. Options menu. By its menu is created, then in this case, menu acts like it's going to containing the menus. Okay, using the menu in Flower, the layout. So code created a menu for us, a menu file or for us. It contains the menu. These are the menus are the action, buttons, action, icon. And the menu referring to now in this case. They are contained in this particular resource file. You are now where they are. This one is something like so inflate this particular layout to this menu. Okay, maybe that. Good. And then this function super.onCreate options menu. This is, remember, we are overriding this function. So the functionality of this function is found in another class we are inheriting from. So this object-oriented programming, and in object-oriented programming, we inherit from many classes in order to make our code more readable and to avoid repetitions. So we mostly use inheritance for efficiency. So in this case, the super calls the parent class, and then it calls this function, and then now it inflates the menu and renders now the menu for us. But still, we are not yet done. So maybe we can just maybe copy this function and paste it to our product grid fragment class before we move on. So grid fragment. So Alt plus the required dependencies files. The resource menu, this particular resource file. Okay, when you look at it, here are the action buttons. Okay, yeah. So maybe you can just look at it briefly. It's defined as this. So we add items in it. So these items now are the action icons or action buttons themselves. So we give them each an unique ID, and then the icon is fetched from the drawable folder. Okay, and then the title. So we give a resource file, a string resource. So in this case, this is a search. Okay, yeah, but this will not be shown in the app bar. But in case, so maybe when we go to menu, we are going to explain them in detail. So let's just search them in our application right now of this as an action. Sure as action. This particular code now this particular menu must always show in this format. Okay, sure as action. We always have those notes. Okay, when you click them,
So it's like this power blackout on that end. We've lost our speaker. I presume there's power blackout on that end. I'm so sorry. And but I am pretty sure you are almost close to let me contact him. But in the meantime, we can shoot our questions. Somebody can ask for clarification, a question, or anything of such as I can reach him to see if his power can be back anytime soon. Somebody. Hey, hello.
hello. I'm sorry, I think I lost
You're back.
connection.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
I'm really
sorry.
sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you can just proceed from where we left. Mhm. So I was trying to explain that show as action always. So what is meant by always is that it should always show as an action at the top up bar as it is displayed here. Now, another time we can use maybe if room. If room, now this one will only display if there is room. If there is no room, then it will be taken to that particular pop-up. Like I told you in WhatsApp, you always have something like a menu, like this one, okay? So this pop-up now. So if there is no room, then that particular menu is taken to that particular
Sorry,
pop-up.
Vincent.
Yes.
Hello. Sorry.
Hello.
Oh, actually, I doubt if I'm the only, I don't know if I'm the only one not seeing a screen.
Oh, my screen. I'm really sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying, I was explaining now what is meant by show as action always. So in this case, it means that we must show this particular icon on the top up bar always. But also, we can F room. Okay, F room. So in this case now, F room means that there is no room in the top up bar, then this particular icon will be text now going to be displayed. Let's look at maybe this. So let me click at this. So I believe you can see that the pop-up search icon in my Android store. There is no room than that particular menu, this particular pop-up. Okay, yeah. There is no room, and then it will be represented now by this. It's now going to be represented by the title, and the icon is not going to have any function in this particular case. Okay, now, yes. And then also this title or its original state. So I believe now it's understandable. So if in case you want another maybe you can still add them, but for now I'm going to move with the created for us. Okay. So we have overridden the on displayed the menu for us. Now we override another function in our fragment on create, just like activities. This first. So this one yeah, so we are activity. Have fragment, but in this case, we used to maybe define, yeah, it's first menu. So without this, are not in a fragment. Okay, activity, but with this particular your menu to show that has options first of all fragment of display as good. That side function super just save instance state in this line well displays. This is file understand title. It's product grid fragment done our application are going to have that string and so as during this 103 next week. So, two remaining cards Good. So let's look at it. Okay. Of the okay, one contained in code labs. This one is something like a grade, something that others are the up. We have a navigation the application. Yeah. Concept. So this is what most up bus. Yes. Now, so let's look at 10 minutes ago. Mm. So at our card, so after far, we are done with using material components. We have also done buttons using a bus or the navigation bus is a card. I believe you know cards. Cards are independent elements that display content and actions on a single object. They are flexible, a way to similar content as collection. This is a card. Okay. So let's look at how we can implement this particular card in okay outer material card view. Okay. So some of this can also be completed by the what is our layout. So in this case, we're working with the product grid front. Okay. Yeah. So that some of this can be material. It was material card view. This one. Some of this can be completed by the ID. It's mastering how these are represented. Okay. Yes. So 100 layout width, layout height, margin bottom, margin left, margin right, margin top. I believe these are some of the things you work on. Yeah. Margins define the margin of this particular card. You can look at we have some and see now the margin at the right and the margin there. And then a card background color. Okay, the color primary dark. This was contained in our styles and colors. So the background color and then card corner. You understand what is meant by the corner radius. So you can see that the corners are not that sharp in this case. They are almost curved. Now, material card view. So the height of this is specified this time exact figures. It's 180 dp and linear layout now. So in this case, we use a linear layout in this case because we want to display the orientation. Okay, vertical orientation. And then the layout, we have used height wrap. So match parent, it spans to the content, the height now will squeeze it. Then the layout gravity bottom. So in this case, we are now situating, we are placing this linear layout to the bottom. So if you can layout you want bottom of the parent. So parent in this case is material card view. Parent, which is the material card view. Inside it, we have text view. Text, there is the title and the description. So we're going to place, I have it here. Okay. So this is it. Now here is where we are going to place our image. Going to place our images. And text appearance body 2. You can look for that parent. Okay. The pixels of application is done in the dimension section. So after that, I think we are done with cards. So next, now we are going to now look at grid view. I see time maybe is gone. We can complete that. And maybe we can leave it for another day. So this is a bit large.
So are we still left with much? I think we can also. Are we left
No,
with
no,
much?
not
Hello,
that much.
Vincent. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Uh,
So how long
Actually,
can it take?
the content.
Somebody
This
finish.
I think we can just do this next time because most of these codes covers mostly on the activities and the Kotlin classes, which might take a lot of time to maybe explain. So
Oh,
I think
yeah,
because of
true.
time, we can
Yeah,
proceed next
we can.
time.
Yeah, we can also share the materials with our members so
Yeah,
that we in the due course before we meet next time we have a research on, yeah, we just do
yeah,
some little studies, we practice on what we learned. Actually, I'm amazed.
yeah.
It was for me, I think never done Kotlin, but I've done Java, Android in Java, Java in Android, but Kotlin, I think it's a nice experience. I love it. Maybe I'm shifting, but actually, I love the presentation. It was so amazing on my end. I know guys are inspired and are going to do further research, but in the meantime, if you have a query, a suggestion, or any point you put across, kindly, maybe we'll give you this time to do so. Because due to time, we would not, we would wish to stop it at that point and maybe consider proceeding next time But then next time, just to make this announcement early, next time we will be having our Android on Saturday. It's supposed to be on Saturdays, but due to some inconveniences, so we normally, like yesterday, we couldn't make it to happen, but we rather decided to have it today. But normally it should be happening on Saturday. So next Saturday, we will be having our session on for Android. I guess we will be having a guest speaker. I'll surely inform you during the week on our Android platform. So you guys, let's do further research. I know the next event will be thrilling as this. So to learn and also inspire others, so that after learning we come back and give back to the community, because this community, so many are benefiting. Apart from us, there are people that are benefiting outside there, but they have not just told you. So let's do it and come back and give it back to the community together. Thank you, Zedi. I've got a nice feedback there. And guys, help me record this feedback. Actually, it's advisable because they help us to know where and what should be improved and what didn't went well during the session. So this is a really nice one. Vincent, sorry for that interruption. So yes, maybe I'll reshare. Let me just reshare the message for feedback. So kindly, guys, help us record feedback. So these feedbacks, they help us to uh, okay, to improve our future webinars and also know what's going on. Actually, this current feedback, not really that. No, sorry, not that. Actually, I've shared the wrong link. Sorry. So let me reshare. I did share wrong link. So let me reshare. Okay. So yeah, so these feedbacks help us to improve on our future events. So when we were starting our session, I introduced some of my core team members, and I can see one of us joined when the session was on. So I want to invite him to introduce himself as we wrap up the session. So Steve, take this opportunity to introduce yourself. If you're Hello Steve, are you on? It's like he ghosted us. I think he's having issues with his mic, but I guess he's around. So yeah, basically yes, guys. I appreciate. Thank you so much for attending our today's session. Now we wish to see you next time. Let's do further research. Let's support each other. Let's learn, and we pray we grow this community together to be more strong.